So I'm kind of just now fully putting together a thought process that started probably 15 years ago. And 15 years ago, I was in college and I was working in the writing center as a tutor. And a woman brought in the essay that she was working on, and I read it with her, and her essay was about the different forms of childhood abuse. And I kind of thought, I saw like the title and everything, and I was like, well, I'm going to be familiar with all of these. Let's proceed. And one of the forms that was mentioned was neglect, and I had never seen that before. This was super early on, basically, that neglect was even being talked about as, a sizable, or as just like an avenue of harm, basically. And um, So that was a weird experience for me reading her essay with her and needing to be like at my job. And, the other forms of abuse were psychological abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, and, and then neglect. And so I had always been aware that something was wrong and bad and not how it should be. Um, but when I encountered any kind of language about uh, child abuse, it centered around physical, sexual. Um, I don't even know that there was really another option talked about when I was growing up, and um, and then I was kind of like aware, like towards like the early 2000s, there was more talk about like the legitimacy of verbal and psychological. So her entire thing was about neglect. Well, it was about the different kinds of child abuse and how they have effects on people. And I think that was probably the first time that I had read any kind of, you know, academic or, you know, professional work about um, child abuse and its ramifications in adulthood. And yeah, it's just absolutely crazy that just lacking language for something and then knowing the moment that you find language that all of that stuff, in my case, in this situation, for me it was all of that stuff that I knew was wrong and bad and not supposed to be happening that way. um, and all of those things that I knew I couldn't talk about to other people, it suddenly all filtered into, oh, that's neglect. And also her paper focused on neglect being the worst form of abuse. And I'm just like, I'm just learning how to word. Like, language for things is so important. Language for things is empowering and liberating and important.